introduce myself, I bring to you Dr. Sebi. Good evening.
Well, what could I say? I'm happy to see you guys here. Brothers and sisters. Solve the problem.
I over the years, I has never been addressed. My name is sebi, and it gives me much pleasure to come with this piece of information to share with you, because it started in those 500 years. Our body has been deteriorating at a very fast pace. Yet all the educators, historians, anthropologists, archaeologists, paleontologists, none of them have ever addressed the foundation or the very fundamental things that affect Black people. They gave us history, but we couldn't use it. They gave us anthropology, we can't use that. They gave us teaching, can't use that either. Now we're sick. And of all the things that they brought about, none of them fit in any vernacular that we need today. Because what I noticed as a young man, first, is that I never went to school because my grandmother didn't send me to school. She didn't have the money to buy me shoes. I wore shoes until I was 14. I was working for my grandmother since I was 11. How could I go to school? I had to take care of my grandmother. She had no one to take care of her but me. So therefore, I had to work for her.
That work was honorable work. If my grandmother was in the United States, she would have been incarcerated. Child abuse.
But look what turned out. Her grandson. I feel sorry. Sometimes I feel it. That my grandmother's not alive to see what she did with her grandson. But she, my grandmother, knew that one day, whatever she was cultivating in me was good. One thing that I found in what she cultivated was that it became useful. Not a whole bunch of words. I heard words of all kinds. I joined organizations, and what? Many organizations, some that you may be a member of today. I got out because I didn't see the fruit in it. And to be useful, you have to bring forth fruits. When it's studying history, you don't bring forth any fruits. You talk about what happened. You know, you talk about what happened in Somalia. You talk about what happened way back in Mali. But how can we extrapolate from Mali or Somalia and make it good today? You cannot find anything in it but a bunch of words. We don't want that. Our bodies have been deteriorated. Why? Because the food that God made for us, we were no longer eating those things. And we have not been eating those things in 500 years. Yet the anthropologists, the historians, the philosophers, they came talking to us, a confused brain, a damaged brain, and a adulterated sperm. So what was the deal? Why should I have listened? Those of my brothers that I remember meeting 45 years ago in New Orleans, Louisiana. Brothers I shared good things with. Brothers I met in California that shared beautiful things with me. I went back after 30 years and I looked for one in particular named Ben. Ben used to read these books every day. Thousands of books. So when I returned to California, he did this. I looked behind him. He said, I read all these books. There was 1,500 books. I said, Ben, I didn't read any. But in the 30 years that I have not seen you, there is a little girl in New York by the name of Haja, Brother Hakim's daughter, that had a hole in her heart. And she was only 6 months old. The doctors wanted to perform what they call an open heart surgery. The father came to me and said, if you don't heal my baby, she's going to die, because she will not have an open heart surgery on a 6-month-old little girl. Well, needless to say, I saw Haja a year ago when I went to see Mr. LL Cool J grandmother. So I'm talking to this woman with these 2 little girls in the room in the hotel, the Ramada Inn, and this lady said to me, do you remember me? I said, no. She said, I'm Brother Hakim's wife. I said, if you are Brother Hakim's wife, where is Haja? There she is. 12 years of age, without the hole in her heart. How did that happen? Let us go to Atlanta, Georgia. Her name is Mecca. Mecca had a tumor in her frontal lobe, and she was blind at age 8 until age 11. She's seeing without the tumor. Steve Eugene Charles, Aruba, the Antilles, sickle cell anemia, no longer with sickle cell anemia. Mr. Fredericks was blind for 11 years, no longer blind. How was this all accomplished? When I told folks that this was accomplished, they look at me like I was the biggest liar in the world. I, Sebi, understood. You know what it is to be eating meat for 500 years. You know what it is to have a father, to be the child of a father that drank milk, that ate meat, ate hamburgers, drink alcohol, smoked cigarettes, then made love to mama, and I came. I'm the result of my daddy's food, which was garbage. What do you expect of us today? This was not brought out by the historians, though. So how could we believe that this thing was accomplished, or that it was possible? How could you believe that? You cannot believe that. And I didn't expect for you to believe that. So what I did, I took it to the extreme. I went to Washington, D.C. I saw a very good friend of mine by the name of Nizam Moyo. I said, Nizam, just take this thing to the very height, to another level. Let us place an ad in the papers that AIDS has been cured. Sickle cell, lupus, herpes, cancer, blindness, and others. Nizam said, I think you have to do that because black people are just not going to believe you. If you were white, yes. Not black. Because we have been trained not to do so. We have been trained not to love another one like us. Why? And rightfully so. How could you love me entirely when you have been eating the very substance that prevent us from loving ourselves? So how could you render that to someone else? That's why when some philosophers or historians come to me and I watch what he eats, well, I just walk out the door because I know this man is not saying something that has equity, because his food deny his position. That is why you cannot believe. And that is precisely why I decided to put the ad in the papers to go to jail. Why I had to go to jail? Because then I would be faced with the physicians, right? The doctors, the best doctors in the United States. Naturally, when the ad was placed, they asked your brother to remove the ad. I said, no. Every black person in New York, lawyers, doctors, and friends, told me that I should not be a fool, that I should remove the ad, because what chances do I have in winning an argument